It's no secret that the Yu-Gi-Oh! Of 2002 and the Yu-Gi-Oh! Of 2020 are two entirely different things. One of the most noteworthy changes in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! That still impacts the game today was the introduction of archetypes. The early decks of Yu-Gi-Oh! Were comprised of strategies that consist of powerful individual cards such as Magician of Faith, Mystic Tomato, and Jinzo. The first ever Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship was held in 2003, and it wasn't until 5 years later at the 2008 World Championships where an archetype had won Worlds for the first time ever. Fast forward to today, powerful archetypes such as Sky Striker, Eldritch, and Emancipator have been dominating their respective metagames. Now, while brand new sets introduce powerful archetypes like the three that I just mentioned, they also introduced archetypes such as Rika, Marincess, and Dino Wrestlers, which
You're trash, bro. Bro, come on, bro. Come on, bro.
What's the matter?
Then, there's also archetypes that you probably don't even know exist, such as Light Rays. However, I am here to shine the light, haha, get it? On those archetypes. My name is BearXBear, and you are watching the Worst of series. The final set release of 2020 was Genesis Impact, bringing us Magistus, Drytron, and everybody's favorite little VTubers, the Live Twins. Without a doubt, Drytron is the best archetype in this set, with its ability to abuse Ben 10 and to end on Vanity's Ruler. While Live Twins are nowhere near as good as Drytron, people did experiment with the Eldritch variants to some varying degrees of success. And meanwhile, Magistus is... yeah, Magistus is absolutely nowhere to be seen. Magistus is an archetype comprised of elite spellcasters who came together to perform one of the strongest spells ever made. And somebody must have forgot to tell them about Sky Striker, Mobilize, Engage, because none of the spell cards in the archetype are really all that powerful. Comprised of 4 spellcaster monsters, 4 spell cards, and currently 4 monsters in their extra deck, a lot of these cards have lore that intertwines with the history of existing cards such as Alistair, Madame Vare, and Endymion. For a much more intricate rundown of the lore behind these cards, you should check out Rogue Theory's video on the archetype. As for my lore, you can't convince me that Reliona isn't the stepsister who got stuck in the washing machine when Big Brother Alistair came to save her and the two committed the sin of invocation. At least, you know, that's the way I see people who, after all these years, still choose to play Invoked. Speaking of which, it does seem like the best way to play Magistus is an engine and not a primary focus of a deck. Reliona can be splashed into Shaddolls in order to search Magistus Invocation, then used as link material for Artemis, who is a light monster and gives easy access to Construct. However, I did feel like this route would basically be cheating because at that point, playing 3 Reliona and 3 Invocation isn't really playing a Magistus deck, we'd just be playing better Shaddolls. So I opted to go for the Dogmatika variant, which utilizes a much larger portion of Magistus cards. This variant has easy access to a 1.5 card combo that uses Endymion to get into Totally Awesome and then allows you to set up for your Dogmatika plays. The best consistent end board this deck can make would consist of Toad, Punishment, and access to window on your opponent's turn. I also discovered pretty cool synergy with a lesser played Dogmatika card in Ashion, who works really well with Magician Souls and Soul's ability to dump both Fleur-de-Lis and Maximus, since Ashion can just add either one of them back to your hand. He also works well since you do use your Magistus extra deck monsters as equip cards, and then he can be special summoned when those equips are sent to the graveyard. Will the synergy with Dogmatika be able to propel Magistus to any viability in today's metagame? We're about to find out. If it's your first time watching, the rules are simple. We play 5 singles matches and 1 best 2 out of 3. We don't do that cherry picking garbage here. All games must be played consecutively, and rage quits will not count towards the wins or losses. So, without further ado, let's begin. First game of the series, and we're up against Virtual World. We open with Summon Limit and Punishment, and luckily we drew the souls just in case our opponent was on a deck where summoning wasn't relevant. Thankfully, Summon Limit is a complete turn ender. We try to use souls to fix our hand a bit since Schism and Duster aren't currently live. He Veilers, but it's fine. We have Tactics. We go into Anima, take the chunkier monster. Our opponent's quick to gauge that they can't deal with Summon Limit, so there we get our first W of the episode. Game number 2, and we're up against Eldritch Burning Abyss, and with my opening hand, I see an interesting combo line that I think you guys might enjoy. The key here is sending Maximus with Souls. Souls gets Ash, and we use Tactus to gain hand knowledge here since we do have combo regardless. We rip Nibiru, which, you know, probably would have ruined our day otherwise. There you saw me add back Maximus with Ninaruru, which enables our win to play. Our opponent chose not to do anything except for setting cards on their turn, which was the smart play and makes it kind of rough for us. We're forced to Winda because otherwise with Huaquero it won't be live. Them being able to get rid of our Wind Pegasus was crucial for them because it essentially took us out of this game. Schism is dead here because we have no other targets. The extra deck was kind of tight unfortunately, which is a glaring issue with the deck. They proceed to combo off quite a bit here, setting up their success and basically making it next to impossible for us to make any sort of comeback. For our turn, we will be forced to go straight into battle phase to get rid of the IP Masquerena. They'll get rid of our normal summon with Beatrice and Farfa. We'll have Ecclesia to follow up and add a Dogmatika Punishment, and that'll basically be the end of our turn. We forget to bring back Zoro from the Banished, but honestly, it doesn't make a difference here. He has access to Nightmare Cerberus, which is a read that I didn't make, and that essentially renders our punishment kind of useless here. I didn't want to hit Beatrice because I presume he had Purple Dante. He picks apart my board, goes into access code, and from there I'm just going to be forced to concede. Game 3, we're 1-1, and we're up against my favorite deck of the format, Mystic Mind Burn. And if you can't tell, I'm not being serious. I hate this stupid deck so freaking much. Oh my god. My only out to mine is literally somehow equipping Ninaruru, and if he has any idea what this deck does, that's not gonna happen. I don't think you guys need the full footage of me getting burned at the stake here. My opponent is a prankster, super funny, super hilarious guy. Stacks Harpy's Feather Duster to the top of my deck, and I 100% know that it's getting negated. If you want my summary of how I feel after this duel, here you go. If you haven't figured it out, yes, I lost. Game number 4, and we're up against Trickstars. Haven't seen this deck in a while. He starts with Candina, summons Korobane, makes Verte Anaconda, and now I suddenly never want to see this deck ever again. For me to out Dragoon, I either have to draw a very specific hand or I have to side out. So this was quite possibly the fastest loss I have ever taken in this series. We've just lost 3 consecutive games, heading into the final singles game with a record of 1-3, and if that record sounds familiar, it probably reminds you of your last regionals before you dropped. Just kidding. So we're up against Virtual World. We've opened up the combo for Toad with easily my favorite floodgate in existence, Summon Limit. We're left with a tough choice on what to add with Rilliona here, but ultimately I decide on Invocation and hoping Summon Limit carries us all the way to a victory. We use Rilliona and Ashion to make Iwas, who can steal an opponent's monster as a quick effect and equip himself to that monster. My opponent's just gonna summon 2 Nyanyans, and that's the end of their turn. Cool. I use Iwas to take one of them, it boosted to 2500, and we somehow managed to beat both Virtual World players that we played against. Nice! Now it's time for the real test as we get ready to play a best of 3. We lose rock, paper, scissors. Our opponent opts to go first, and they are playing Adamantipator. If this duel looks familiar, it is one that I posted in full not too long ago because I thought the duel was just that good. So yeah, let's just save some time here. If you want to see the full rock combo, you can check out the video before this one. Anyways, Rock Skull Burr. So as you can see, Crystal Wing, Dragoon, and Guardian is the end board here. Pretty nasty. Nadir gets negated with Dragoon, Servant gets negated with Guardian, we drew Tactics, we go pop pop, Ashion gets summoned since Crystal Wing went to the graveyard, and whoa, we beat the Dragoon challenge. Crazy. Like I told you guys, with a very specific hand, I can out Dragoon. So we got really lucky there. We draw what would typically be a very, very disgusting hand, but my opponent draws something even more disgusting, which would be Imperial Order. So let the rocks go brr again, and we'll be right back. So we're back. They have a very similar looking board from last time, except instead of Guardian, they have Imperial Order. If they didn't draw Order, this probably would have been a very different game. The crazy thing is, we do still break apart the board, and we try to salvage the game as much as possible. However, it's very clear now that they've opted to go into the Dragite. Them missing here is almost next to impossible. They've excavated way more than enough, go in for a large chunk of damage, and now for our turn, we top a fleur-de-lis, do as much damage as we possibly can, and unfortunately for us, Ashion cannot be summoned in damage step. On their turn, it's pretty much a given that they've got game number 2 in the bag. So now we're ready to go into that all-important game number 3. We're obviously going to choose to go first, and looky, we see some Magistus cards. Remember that best board this deck can end on that I was talking about earlier with Toad, Punishment, and Winda? Yep, this is the board, this is the hand, this is the most ideal opening we could have had. We're forced to use our Toad to negate Nibiru here. I didn't expect Alpha, like that's tough for me. We do have Punishment to go pop, Schism before we're locked out for Winda. The main deck Dragite has 2200 defense, which does become a problem for me because I can't really out it. For their turn, my opponent sees yet another copy of Alpha. They're able to go off for a bit here before I finally reveal the Nibiru that I've been holding in my hand. So from here, they do have a follow-up in Researcher since the token is a rock. They use Researcher, but they whiff. But in the end, it does end up being no big deal since, you know, Researcher is a tuner and they can go into Halki 5-Brax. And, oh, yep, Dragoon, yep, nice. It's looking kind of doomed here. We get dropped to 1500 life points, and it all comes down to this top deck right here. Magician Souls! Some Yugi Heart of the Card stuff right here. We send 2, draw Ashion and Droplet. We grab Ecclesia. Who grabs Maximus? Who will send Toad and Skull Knight to the graveyard? We can add back Endymion, pop the Dragoon, equip Endymion with Iwas to boost him to 25, and we have done it! We have won! Crazy game, one of the most fun games I've ever had. We finished singles with a record of 2 and 3. We won our best of 3 match. Magistus is an extremely fun archetype to play with. I will be showing you guys the deck profile that I used for this episode in just a second, but this is the last you'll be hearing from me. If you guys enjoyed the video, please remember to like and subscribe. Plenty more amazing content to come this year. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a blast. Here's the deck profile.